Alright, so this week is just following Grand Prix London, where Brad Nelson started 11-0. Unfortunately, could not close this time. I was fairly shocked to see that happen, because normally Brad's pretty good in the clutch, but jet lag is certainly a thing, and maybe his deck wasn't good. I don't know. But my deck is a little bit different than his. Basically, we were both working on the deck at the same time. We both thought that Stormbreath Dragon would be well positioned. As it turns out, it kind of was, kind of wasn't. There were a lot of Dromoka's Command decks, although some of them started playing the Hangerback Walkers, which makes Stormbreath Dragon not that great, but as long as you can get through those Thopters, or at least make sure that, you know, they're not chump blocking and hitting you on the crackback with like an Anafenza or whatever, like you're generally in okay shape. So if Dromoka's Command appears to be a big card in the metagame, and I believe going forward that is going to be the case, then I think Stormbreath Dragon is still good. You could look into playing something like Dan Ward's Black-Red Dragon deck, or Red-Black Dragon deck, whatever. But I like the green cards. I like a lot of what they add to the deck. So this deck is Elvish Mystic, Rattleclaw Mystic. For accelerators, you also have the Den Protector Death Mist Raptor package to help you go long. Basically, you either provide like some haste threats like Stormbreath Dragon, some threats like Thunderbreak Regent that punish your opponent for trying to kill them, things that they don't want to kill like Death Mist Raptor, and then things to kind of like tie the room together like Den Protector. So you have like all these weird threats that are also just like very, very good and hard to deal with, backed up by 8 accelerators and a pile of removal spells. Also, instead of Goblin Rabblemaster, I have Nissa Vastwood Seer, which I think is a pretty big game in this deck because it's a 3-mana creature, which fills a spot on the curve. Also, it gets you a land, which is very, very helpful when you're trying to cast 5-mana things. And then also, this is the card that I was missing the entire time, which is Boon Satyr, and I think this is a pretty big deal. This is something that allows your little guys to trade up. It is good against sweepers. It's just like good against control decks in general. Can add a lot to your clock just kind of out of nowhere, which is pretty nice. And I kind of want a third one main deck, but I wanted all the removal spells instead, so I don't know. Maybe something has to give. Maybe I have to get rid of a Death Mist Raptor or whatever, but I didn't really want to do that. So I only have 2 Boon Satyrs right now, but I could definitely see a third. For removal spells, we have 4 Draconic Roars, which I think is pretty normal. You know, there are things like Fleece Mainline that you want to deal with, but also because of how good Searing Blood is right now, obviously Draconic Roar is pretty good as well. So that card is kind of a staple. I could see going lower than 4 Draconic Roars if you needed your removal spells to do something specific, such as be a Roast to kill a Siege Rhino or what have you. But I think 4 Roar, even though it's like, there's no deck where it, like, Draconic Roar is the sweet spot, right? Where it just, like, kills everything, and that's all you ever really want to do. I mean, I guess Jeskai might be that deck, but they also are starting to play Stormbreath Dragon now, so Draconic Roar, good against Fleecemane, good against Mantis Rider, but not good against everything, unfortunately. Crater's Claws is the card that is kind of good against everything. Either it's a cheap way to kill a tiny creature, or maybe it's a finisher. Once you have Ferocious, it certainly helps too. Like maybe you can play Thunderbreak Regent and a Claws on a smaller creature in one turn for a little tempo boost. You know, you get to play 2 spells, play a big thing, remove one of their things that's attacking you. So Claws is definitely very good. I could see it as a 3 of. I'm only playing 2 right now to fit in some more specific, cheaper removal spells. But again, this could be a 3 of. I have a Singleton Roast to deal with Siege Rhino, but we have Flyers, we have Boon Satyr, we have Crater's Claws, we have a decent amount of ways to actually kill 4 and 5 toughness things already, so plus we have Death Mist Raptor to just attack through them. So the Roasts, like, it's not necessary to play a huge amount of Roasts in the main deck. The thing that I do think is necessary is playing some Magma Sprays. So just a good card against early creatures. This is one of the cards that allows you to kind of go toe-to-toe with red decks. Just kill their early things with like a spray and a roar, and then, you know, you enter the mid game at like 18 or 16 life, and you're still doing okay. So Magma Spray is the thing that allows you to do that. It could be Wild Slash, except I think Hangerback Walker is a very, very big deal. So main deck, if you're going to play Shock, I think it should be Magma Spray, especially in a deck like this. But that's basically it for the main deck. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Rugged Highlands, but as Brad pointed out to me, this deck basically needs it. You know, like you have a bunch of red spells and a bunch of GG spells, so the Highlands are kind of necessary to smooth out the mana base. Also have Havens, which are kind of functional mountains. We basically have enough red and green sources to cast like a single source of each of those colors. So then, like, Death Mist Raptor is kind of a stretch, you know? Like, I would prefer to have an additional green source, but got to make do with what we have. And for our red spells, we have the Havens to actually cast those, to cast our dragons. So that also gives us a nice little push going into the mid game. If they're killing all our stuff, we can use one of our lands to get a creature back. So it kind of functions like a weirdo creature land. And then, very similar to the Rugged Highlands with the Mana Confluence, and obviously that's not good in a format of aggressive decks, but if you're playing against Mono Red, you're probably going to want to set out your Stormbreath Dragons anyway, and then you can probably afford to trim a land so the Mana Confluence can come out with them. So, sort of a bad deal, you know, bad card to be playing if you're playing against a bunch of Mono Red decks, but it does get sided out, so it's really not that huge of an issue. And for the sideboard, we have the Trail of Mystery sideboard plan that our team used at the Pro Tour, and which I still like a lot against control and grindy decks. So basically, you side into Trail of Mystery, you side up to 4 Den Protectors, so then you end up having 12 morphs to go along with the trail. Every time you play a morph, you get a free basic land. Turns your Den Protectors into giant threats for at least 1 turn. I have blocked a Siege Rhino with a Den Protector and traded with it. I have flipped up Den Protector to kill an Elspeth that they just cast when you have Trail of Mystery. So Trail does a lot of nice things for you, and it's really good if you expect the games to be pretty grindy and to go on kind of long, because you do want to get, you know, to 5 mana and later so that you can, like, crack your Haven on the same turn, or, like, same turn as you, like, replay your thing, or, you know, play Den Protector, flip it up, and maybe kill something. You know, like, you want to make all your land drops in these long, grindy games. Also, we go as big as Dragonlord Atarko, which I think is pretty nice in a lot of these mid-rangey matchups. We have a couple Reclamation Sages, mostly for Ensoul Artifacts, and these are creatures so that they don't get stubborn denialed. I would ultimately prefer to have something like Unravel the Aether, I think, but Reclamation Sage does a fine job. Also have some Plummets for the Stormbreath Dragon Mirror match. I can also bring in 1 or 2 of these in against Jeskai, depending on how many Stormbreaths or Ojutais they have. We have the 3rd Boon Satyr, which is mostly for, like, controlling decks. Same thing with the Den Protector, although Den Protector kind of gets stapled onto the Trail of Mystery plan. A couple more Roasts to kill Anafenza, Siege Rhino, Corsair Crewfix, another Magma Spray for Mono Red and Hangerback Walker, and then a couple Xenagoses. I've liked these better than Outpost Siege, and I've liked them enough to play them in the main deck at times. And there have actually been games against Mono Red where they play an Eidolon, and I just get to lock them out because I'm playing things like Thunderbreak Regent and Xenagos, whereas they are stuck playing these things where their Eidolon hits them. So having a bunch of 4-mana stuff is actually reasonable against Mono Red too. But that's it. This is Green-Red Dragons. It's a little bit different than the list that you're used to seeing because, you know, I don't have Goblin Rabblemaster, but I don't think the Rabblemaster is very good right now. So this list makes a lot of sense to me. I've been liking it. It's one of the few decks that I've been able to win with as of late. So let's get to it.